Okay, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to another one of our dual credit discipline dialogues. We appreciate you joining today, whether you're here virtually in person or if you are watching the YouTube recording on the K14 Ivy Tech channel. We appreciate you joining us today. My name is Dr. Mark Schneider. I'm the AVP of K14 Academic Initiatives and Support. I help support our dual credit programming at a statewide level on the academic side of the house. So don't think like enrollment, marketing, well, I can do some of those things. That's not my specialty. More like course sequencing, completions, prereqs, anything that overlaps with faculty or curriculum, things of that nature fall in my wheelhouse. So it's nice to see all of you today. Today, Marion is joining us as our faculty representative from the K14 Academic Advisory Committee. Marion, why don't you take a second and unmute yourself and introduce yourself to the group.
Hello, everyone. Professor Tulares, Marian. I've been with the college for almost 15 years. I'm located in the Indy campus. And well, nice to meet everyone, and hopefully you'll have some questions for us later on.
Yeah, and if anyone does have any questions throughout the dialogue, feel free to come off mute. We're happy to answer and entertain any and all questions, comments, concerns, anything like that while the dialogue is going on. A couple of things before we get started. One is, although it is December, last month we kicked off did an unofficial kickoff to our NACEP reaccreditation, NACEP being the national organization that accredits all dual credit programs. So we called last month NACEP November when we started doing these discipline dialogues. All that to say, as we go through our reaccreditation process, this year we're just doing a self-study. Next year is the data submission year. If you would like to be a part of, submitting a syllabus or a sample assignment, those types of things that we need for our submission, we'd be happy to include you in that. I'll put my name and email address into the chat. Just reach out to me after we get done with this, and we'll make sure to put you on the list. We'll also need people for like a peer review interview. Typically goes like 45 minutes or so, just to validate all the stuff that we put in our application. So we'd appreciate anyone who wants to lean in and volunteer for that. Now, Marion, one thing that a lot of high school teachers are surprised to find out, and I can say this with experience as well as a former high school teacher, 10 years in the high school classroom. The higher education world works a little bit differently than the K-12 world. And one aspect of that is that a lot of the curriculum decisions, so many of them are driven by faculty. So the administration has a very, very small role, if any, in those types of decisions. That's not the case on the K-12 side. But if there's new courses, new prereqs, if this doesn't lend itself to the liberal arts, but if there was a new certificate or a completion of some sort, all of those types of things go through a curriculum committee. Now, admittedly, I've not looked in to see what the foreign language curriculum committee's minutes from their fall meetings were. And some curriculum committees, our program groups, the faculty members will meet 2 or 3 times a year. Everyone meets at least once in the fall. Some meet every semester. But all that to say, were there any updates from the curriculum committee meetings that would maybe overlap with dual credit? And if the answer is there's nothing and it's status quo and everything is the same, that's always welcome too, because a steady ship with no changes is a nice thing in the education world.
Yeah, no new updates that I can think of. So I'll send it back to you.
Okay, well, that's good to hear on that front right there. One thing that we get a lot of questions about, and this applies to foreign language, and I can help offer a little bit of color to this as well, but especially with the Indiana College Core, foreign languages for most Indiana College cores in the high school, foreign languages are a bedrock of a high school's dual credit offerings, especially with the 101 and 102 classes being 4 credit hours each. You can get 8 of those 30 um, checked off pretty quickly. Um, those are core transfer library courses. They transfer very relatively well. But you want to maybe explain, if someone would take Spanish 101 and 102 or French or German for dual credit, either how that would work if that student was to come to Ivy Tech, or if they wanted to go to Ball State or IU, Purdue, Indiana State, any of those public institutions, maybe how easily those credits transfer.
So you're asking pretty much how how classes are conducted in when we talk about Spanish or French or any foreign languages in comparison to high school or grade school.
Yes.
Well, I have visited many sites for these past 2 years. So I have attended and I have seen how teachers uh, conduct these classes, and I'm just amazed, because overall they do a really good job. So typically when I go, I take notes because I see what I like is what I take back is they have to put a lot of effort keeping the students engaged. Okay, so I see the main difference is for us, everything is more student centered. So the students are more independent. They still have to complete activities. They still have to, complete all the objectives, but it's more on them, how they distribute the time, how they approach what they are learning. So in high school, middle school, I can talk about middle school because my son is taking French. It's more based on how the instructor or the teacher is teaching, presenting the material. So in college is different. So sometimes that's good. Sometimes that's not that good, but it is a learning process for the students. So I will say that that's the main difference.
One thing I would also encourage our high school instructors to think, or at least maybe um, some instructors don't realize it's a benefit that they have as a high school teacher in the high school setting. Our classes are typically 16 contact hours per credit hour. So for the 4 credit hour classes, that'd be 64 hours of contact time. With most high schools offering these classes in a semester format, if you're meeting every day, typical semester is 90 days, give or take. Typical class period meets, an hour roughly, give or take. But your contact hours are much higher than what you would see in an Ivy Tech class or any of the 4-year institutions in the state. So that does give some added extra flexibility to meet those course objectives, to really kind of dive into some of those um, uh, just learning objectives that you'd have that you maybe couldn't expand upon as much if you were teaching on class or on campus as well. Marion, I should know this off of the top of my head, but one thing we sometimes get questions about as I look over here to my right with all the different questions from other discipline dialogues is about grading scales. Are the foreign language grading scales, do they follow the normal 90, 80, 70 ABC, or some of the programs have like a 90 to 92, 92 to 84, other things like that?
No, it's pretty similar to other disciplines within humanities. I don't know in science or
Mhm.
math. For us, it's all the same grading rubric.
Okay, that's good to hear. A couple of reminders for our dual credit instructors. We ask that by April 1st that you complete the professional development modules. You should have been notified about that from your local campus. That is an ASAP accreditation requirement that happens annually. Typically, probably it'll take an hour and a half, 2 hours to get it all done. So keep that in mind as the Christmas break holiday comes up, and if you have a little extra time on your hands. Also, not everyone's aware, but if you have been a dual credit instructor with the college for over a year, then you are entitled to 6 free credit hours to take classes every semester. That also extends to a spouse and any dependents that you have. But that's 6 credit hours for the semester, not 6 hours like per dependent. But if you have a child that's going to be attending Ivy Tech and they're going to be taking classes every semester, with classes running a little bit more than $500 for a 3 credit hour class, you can save yourself over $1,000 each semester. So that is another added benefit. Also, you can download all the Microsoft Office products through the Ivy Tech website. That subscription typically runs over $100 a year if you have an Ivy Tech email. So this applies to students too. They can download all of that and run it on their computer. And as long as they have an active Ivy Tech email, it'll be available to them for free. And then one other thing I know that at least in the last year or two, it's popped up, especially over the summer, is that we being the college, are always looking for additional adjuncts to teach a summer class here and there. Especially when we've had like free summer for high school students, we've had a lot of students take foreign languages, and sometimes there's kind of a mad scramble at the end, the last couple of weeks to find whatever 5 new Spanish teachers from across the state, or French or German or whatever the case is. If you're teaching dual credit, that means you're a faculty member in our eyes and you meet all of our credentialing standards. If you are interested in doing a little bit of extra part-time work or looking for it, adjuncting with us and being a part-time instructor is a good way to make a few extra dollars and also provide additional educational opportunities to Ivy Tech students. So it's a good win-win right there. Looking at other potential questions here. Yeah, Mary, you did touch upon this, but maybe just in case there's anything else you'd want to add, I guess what would be the major differences between a high school course and the college course or college instruction? If it's Spanish 101 or Spanish 3 in high school, if whether it's curriculum, assignments, expectations, you talked really about kind of the delivery of everything from the instructor. I guess my last question would be for you, like, what's that difference? Is there a major difference between those either secondary or post-secondary worlds?
I didn't mention the contact hours, which that's super important, because we don't get to see these students daily. And for the past 3-4 years, I don't remember, our classes, most of them are being taught in an 8-week period. So that increases the number of contact hours each week. But still, we don't see them every day because we rarely have class every day. So typically our classes are twice a week. It could be once a week. We used to have classes 3 times a week. But again, I think it's because of, the space is very limited. So it's probably mostly on, regards of physical constraint that we don't offer classes 3 times a week. And one thing that I did not mention is probably the classroom atmosphere. I will say college is just the best because everyone has, a voice. If everyone has something to say, they're free to just say whatever they want. And in the 200 level classes, where we get to the discussion parts of, certain issues that students, they feel like they have more freedom to express whatever they want to say. So that, I will say that's another difference, right? The classroom atmosphere, how the students react when we talk about certain issues. And it comes with age, right? Because these are adults, supposed to kids in high school, middle school, they are younger. So I will say also that's another big difference, how they respond in classroom atmosphere.
Oh, and one other question I have, and I have a list just not in front of me, so I could pull it up if I needed to in a pinch here. Is there a common assessment for Spanish or any of the other foreign languages? Off the top of my head, I don't think there is, but there could be because, for those who aren't familiar, what we do with some of our courses like English 111 or Math 136 or finite math, or, English composition. There's a common assignment that everyone takes, dual credit or on campus, and they grade it, go through, this big qualitative assessment, basically to make sure that whatever the course objectives are, that they're being met by the students, and what we say is being taught is actually being taught and learned by the students. Um, is there a common, I know they've been rolling them out for different classes over the last couple of years, but is there a common assessment or a common final or anything like that for the Spanish? And
We so the class objectives are distributed in 4 different components. So we need to cover reading, writing, speaking, and listening. So that's the main thing, right?
Mm.
So whatever type of assignments, whatever type of assessments we have, they need to have those components. So that's 101s or the 200 level classes. It doesn't matter. So I will say that's a commonality that a foreign language classes need to have. It doesn't matter if it's French or German or Spanish. Some classes have final exams. Most classes have like written assignments. They have to write about a paragraph about a certain topic. Most classes have the like oral exams, oral presentations. So I will say, I mean, I'm listing what I have taught and what I have seen in the 4 different classes we offer at Ivy Tech. So it's the oral component, the listening component. I mean, yeah, the listening component, then the writing component. So all that in the different type of assignments. And again, this is also what I have seen when I have visited some uh, school sites in foreign language classes.
We did have a question in the chat here. Um, and I do have a link to a YouTube page where we do have specific content that's available for everyone for free through Ivy Learn in the Commons. That we have a YouTube video on how to access that. I'm going to pull that up real quick and put it in the chat for everyone. But Marion, someone did ask if there is a specific curriculum that you use for the 200 class, Spanish 200.
I mean, can the person be more specific in regards of curriculum? Like you're talking about like certain topics that we cover. Or are you talking about certain assignments or assessments we we cover in the 200 level? The 200 level is more conversational, so the students are expected to do you use a book or you create your own curriculum? Oh yeah, we use textbooks. Now that's I forgot to mention that, and that's a big difference. So mostly the classes I have visited, the sites I have visited, instructors, the teachers, they don't use textbooks. It's like a compilation. Let's say that they're gonna cover, let's say, food. That's the topic. So they come up with different sources and they create their own materials. Now we use textbooks for every single class. So for 101, 102, we have a textbook. For the 200 level, we have a textbook. Yes, and so we follow. We this is something we do in the curriculum committee. We choose, right? We discuss where will be a good textbook for the 200 level. So and we choose the textbook based on what's appropriate for the level of study. So we follow what we have in the textbook, which is again, appropriate for this level of study. I don't know if that answers your question.
Yeah, and we are at a good point here. We've been chatting for about 20 minutes. If anyone would like to come off mute, you feel free to ask your question. There was a question in the chat. What was the name of the book that you do use? Keeping in mind that dual credit courses don't always have to follow the textbook that is being offered or used on campus. Just a book that meets the course objectives. There's a lot more flexibility on the dual credit side. But anyways, we've had a couple of people ask what was the name of the textbook you use or recommend for the courses.
So we are using BHL and Cengage products. But we prefer VHL. So I believe for the 200 level, we are using, it's called Enfoques. I can verify the name. I can, I can put my email for any questions you might have. Feel free to email me. Okay, sí, Enfoques. Okay, so we're right on the same page. So how you like, Amanda, how you like that book? You like it? Portal, exactly. So we're not using Portales anymore. We're using Dicho y Hecho, which is also from VHL. So we have found VHL is very user-friendly, and it has a lot of resources for students. It has a lot of resources for instructors. And it has many, many books that we can choose from. So VHL, so that's our preference for textbooks. For 100 and 211, yes.
Okay. Do we have other questions from the group, either that you want to put in the chat or come off mute and ask? I will say, well, if anyone has any other, no worries if your microphone is not working. That is part of for the course in our modern Zoom world. A couple days ago, I did an update on my computer, and my camera then all of a sudden started following me. So my camera was going crazy the entire time. So part of the technology issues that we have here with these discipline dialogues. I would say, and thank you, Marion, for putting your email in the chat. Before anyone asks any final questions, we always like to, towards the end, thank all of our dual credit instructors for all the hard work that we do, or they do. We have roughly 3,500 dual credit instructors across the state of Indiana. And actually earlier today, at the State Board of Education meeting where they were talking about the new high school diploma requirements, so much bragging was happening about dual credit in the state of Indiana and how Indiana is number one in many different metrics. Where Indiana, not a huge state like California, Texas, or Florida, or anything like that. And we're going to have 95,000 dual credit students. Ivy Tech alone this year will have that. We'll have about 10,000 students graduating high school with a completion, whether it be the Indiana College Core or some other certificate or degree or other things like that. And so much of that is built around our dual credit instructors and all the extra work that they do. In a lot of cases, all the things that have to go into doing a dual credit class, submitting a syllabus, doing the PD, doing a site visit, all those types of things. There's no extra compensation for it, just a thank you, and you're doing it all for the goodness, doing it all out of the goodness of your heart because of the benefits that it brings your students. It's not lost on all kinds of different stakeholder groups, all the hard work that's being done by our dual credit instructors. So thank you very much for that. We do have a thing here. Someone needs to take one more class for dual credit to get their 18 graduate hours. Any suggestions for where to take the class for this summer? Someone mentioned a master's degree in the courses through the University of Nebraska, which was super helpful. I know at least for many of the liberal art courses, I would need to check Cell through UIndy has Teach Dual Credit. I'll try to find the link here in a second and put it in the chat. See if they have 500 level graduate courses for a foreign language. And then I'll look up for that here. And someone had a question about the percentages, about percentages of syllabus. What does that look like at Ivy Tech? I assume that means the grade syllabus or the grading scale, which we said earlier was 90s an A, 80s B, 70s C, 60s or D, and anything 50 or below would be an F. Someone here said students copy and pasting on activities on V hlcentral.com. How does this deter, how does the school deter this from happening? Admittedly, I'm not familiar with that link, whether it's AI or other things like that. I know we have an AI task force trying to figure out a lot of these answers here for it. I don't know, Marion, do you have any
You know what I do? If I see the answers are very similar, I give them a 0 because I'm referring to the percentages. Okay, I have a class. Okay, so this is different. I'm gonna include here. Let me see. That's how the grades are, the percentages, grading scale. But yeah, going back to the doing copy and paste, you usually, if you see similar answers, you send them an email because we have a policy in our syllabus regarding these issues. So you send them this reminder, and if they are still doing that, you give them a 0. Oh, okay. That Valencia. What's your name, Valencia? Valencia is Valencia. I don't want to call you Valencia, but it depends of these changes depending on the instructor. I have something here that I can share with you. Hold on. So this is my 101 class. So let me share this with you. Probably you're looking for something like this. So this is this is more for my face-to-face class. This is a blended class. We meet twice a week. This is an 8-week class. Class participation preparation. So blended class because they have an online component. They are supposed to be completing online assignments, but most of the teaching and the learning and everything happens face to face. And these are, the type of assignments and assessments we have. See that we don't have a final exam, we don't have midterms. I'm gonna say this is very similar across all our instructors, even though we don't have one common syllabus for all the 101. But our syllabus, they have the same content. So I mean, it's not that we have a template. That's what I meant. But the content looks very similar, and I think you should follow. They should follow a template, correct? For the dual credit. For the dual credit classes, they should follow a template, correct, Mark?
I'm sorry, I was looking up the graduate courses. Can you say that again?
Yeah, if they have a template, correct, for the dual credit for their syllabus.
Yeah, I can find that link here real quick too, for all of our dual credit classes.
So our instructors can change the percentages if they want, but it's very similar. No, it doesn't change a lot, and they can add midterm if they want, or they can add a final exam. But typically, we don't have that many instructors either. But typically, this is how the grade distribution and all the components, how they look like. Okay. Okay. Let's see.
Um, Someone asked about the final exam. If you don't have one, what happens at the end of the semester then?
You can have one final project that's equivalent to the final exam. And again, we have more freedom on how we distribute the grades on the students. For example, they have an oral exam here. Maybe they have one final oral exam. These exams are 20% because they have one exam after every chapter. But you can have 2 exams. You see, this is open because we can change the number of exams we have. So hopefully that answers your question.
Okay. Going back through the chat here, I did put the syllabi links in the chat, and then also teachdualcredit.org, which is run by Cell and UIndy. The links for free graduate level coursework for anyone. You can find more details on that. I don't know the sign up deadlines or anything along those lines. But it looks like they're offering like 4 Spanish classes in the spring semester. So do look like that. Someone had said the state has decided to redo the high school requirements for their graduation, which was voted upon today. I was there, hence the suit, to be there for the big vote. World languages requirements are a big item being changed. What are the college's thoughts looked like, or on this? It looked like they were going to change the requirement from 3 years to 2 years for the honors diploma. The big thing that they mentioned many, many, many times today, and if you want, you can find the recording from it, is flexibility for to meet the new high school requirements. And Indiana College Core was mentioned probably 20 times during the presentation. And then also they said, we don't know what this is going to look like in every school. Every school is going to be doing a lot of different flexibility or have a lot of flexibility, but coming up with their own kind of version of the ICC to get for that enrollment seal to get that one checked off with the honors box. There, I think any school that's offering 101 and 102, there is a big advantage to offering those courses and getting the Indiana College Core. Depending on the school's resources and everything like that, also offering 201 and 202. I mean, that can give you 14 of the 30 credit hours right there. Ultimately, I mean, depending on each course and each high school, we have some schools that are offering classes on a year-long format, semester format. There's just a lot of different ways, trimester, semester. There's a lot of different ways that it's being done. But any of the courses that line up with the Indiana College Core, they're gonna, just my Mark's opinion here, I think they're gonna be well suited for the new high school diploma and what that'll ultimately look like. Not too many high schools are going to be taking away 8 or 14 credit hours towards their 30-hour Indiana College Core if they have that available to it. So I would see them leaning in and really making sure that that is a mainstay. Okay, any other questions? Okay. Well, thank
Hello,
you.
sorry, I'm
Oh, you're
Andres,
fine.
by the way. Andres
Oh,
Valencia. Thank you. I was just wondering when I was asking about the students using online tools to get the answers, is what I'm talking about is in VHL specifically, students copy paste the text from the activities and then they just have the perfect scores. And so then students get to the written assessments and the other things, and then they don't know how to do it. So what are you doing to encourage students not to copy and paste?
Well, again, and let me go back since I shared how I see homework that in my classes that will fall under the homework. So it's 20%.
Yeah.
So again, if you see a pattern of, if because it's typically the same students that are doing the same thing, right? So if you see a pattern, you just send them you send them a warning. You need to include in your syllabus that,
So how do you prove that they're doing that?
how do you prove that they are doing the work? But because
No. How do you prove that you know that they were doing that? Because that's the issue I'm having. How do I prove it?
I mean,
So what do you do on your end?
if I see, okay, let me see if I understand this. If I see the students have answers that are very similar, not the same, they are very similar, right? So I send them an email because, when I teach online and I see a lot of this, sometimes I don't know where they find these answers, but they use the same answers for the same questions. And if you type in Google, they find everything
Right.
for VHL. So because sometimes I think we don't grade these assignments. So in my classes, I really put emphasis on the classes, I mean, on the type of assignments where they have to do writing
Yeah.
or they have to, answer orally.
Mm-hmm.
So if, once I know, that they are getting their answers from the internet, they sometimes, not all the time, sometimes they try to put the effort and do the work themselves. Now that doesn't guarantee that they will do it, but at least you're aware. At the end of the day, that's their grade, right? You cannot force
Mm-hmm.
them to do their own work. It's their learning. If you're copying, I don't know, again, this is cheating. What consequences they have in school? I don't know if probably you have some rules related to cheating. They're gonna say, well, I'm not cheating. I'm like, well, I have 5, 6 students with the same answer. So you're even getting together to work on this, or you're getting this from online, from anywhere online. And they sometimes they say, yes, I get the answers online, and then they work on improving based on your feedback. I don't know, probably kids in high school will have a different attitude in regards of things. But that's what I do. I know it has worked well. Once you realize you're actually reading, you're actually grading, because that's I think the problem with these online assignments is sometimes they think we don't grade them. It's just these are auto graded, right? And once I realize, oh, there's someone reading and grading this, okay, so they realize you have to put the work on these assignments.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you very much for the question. I know in another discipline dialogue, we had a similar thing that got brought up, and there was a big focus on trying to move away from assignments that are centered around a computer, and doing the old-fashioned paper pencil, write down what you think this answer is, or doing kind of those spot pop quizzes, other things like that. AI can't necessarily answer right there on the spot, or also like a bigger emphasis on moving towards a final or a project or other things like that. But everything Marion said is very correct as well. I have the same question, but Wendy, I'm sorry, can you tell me which question that is? We have a lot of questions here in the chat. Was it about the high school diploma? It was about the high school diploma and high school redesign. Long story short, I think any high school courses that are a part of the Indiana College Core are going to be well, I don't want to say protected, but they're going to be a point of emphasis with the new graduation requirements and the seals and the honors and all of that. And foreign languages play a huge part in the Indiana College Core. And trust me, I viewed every single one of the 206 Indiana College Core MOUs that we have across the state. And foreign languages, and especially Spanish, 101 and 201 and 202 is a huge percentage of our Indiana College Cores. I bet 75% off the top of my head. And that's not going to go away. That's the Indiana College Core is a major point of emphasis with the new high school diploma, and anything that's a part of the Indiana College Core, I think is really going to, they're going to lean into that. So. Okay, well, thank you everyone for joining today. We'll get this posted on the YouTube channel. I'll send out the email to everyone. We'll probably have that by the end of the day on Friday. But if you have any questions, just feel free to reach out to myself or Miriam. We put our email in the chat there. It's great to see all of you and participating today. And if there's anything we can do, just reach out. But enjoy the rest of your Wednesday and have a good rest of your semester. Thank you very much.